When you get promoted to a leadership role, it can feel as though you've been handed the keys to your very own mini kingdom. But do you have what it takes to rule it? If you work at a fully remote company, establishing yourself as the leader of your newly acquired realm can be especially difficult. Then again, it won't be any harder than proving that you're the perfect candidate for the position in the first place. So what's a remote worker to do? Well, the first thing you need to do is increase your visibility in the company. If you're willing to put in the hard work and communicate your goals with your higher ups, you'll see that getting those coveted leadership positions is easier than you might think. As a remote worker, you're at a disadvantage simply because you aren't sharing a space with your superiors. But even though that might make it difficult to demonstrate your skills, setting yourself apart from the other employees won't be impossible. You can still do it by delivering quality work, being proactive, and practicing effective communication. Once the higher-ups see that you're excelling in your current role, you should communicate your desire for more responsibility. Don't make them play the guessing game. Tell them that you would like to manage a team of your own. Doing so will show your superiors that you take your professional development seriously. Once that leadership role is offered to you, don't be afraid to jump into it head first. One way to do so would be to take advantage of the knowledge sharing sessions your employer provides you with during your transition. On the other hand, if your company doesn't offer such training, you can always seek out the knowledge you need elsewhere. There are plenty of educational platforms that offer leadership courses, communication workshops, and employee management training for those who might need them, and some of them are completely free. But while you're improving your leadership skills, make sure you remember who you're doing it for, namely the people you'll be managing. One of the most challenging aspects of your transition from being a regular employee to becoming the leader of a remote team will be getting to know your team. Even if you used to work alongside your team members and are familiar with their work habits and communication styles, your promotion may well affect the dynamics of the team. But of course, that's nothing that can't be worked out with a bit of effective communication. Speaking of which, when you become responsible for a team of people, you'll quickly come to realize the importance of clear and empathetic communication. As a leader, you'll have to choose your words more carefully than you did when you are on the same level as your teammates. But it's important to find a balance between being an authority and being someone your team can ask for help and guidance. Striking that balance is particularly important in remote-first companies, where knowing how to express yourself, especially in writing, is essential. So how can managers practice what they preach and promote good communication on remote teams? Your first mission, should you choose to accept it, is to establish a healthy work culture in your team, which may be easier said than done. If your company doesn't have great workplace culture already, maintaining it on your team could be pretty challenging. On top of that, you have to do it all remotely, further raising the stakes. Still, if you make a conscious effort to communicate frequently and transparently, be respectful, and practice empathy, you'll find it much easier to connect with your team, build trust, and create a psychologically safe environment that everyone can thrive in. And if all goes according to plan, the bubble of positivity you create for your team may one day envelop the rest of the company. When you become a remote manager, practicing open communication with your team will be an ongoing quest you'll be entrusted with. You'll have to stay on top of your messages and make sure your team has at least a couple of hours during the day where everyone is reachable through the company's internal communication software. However, you'll also have to make sure you don't overdo it and become a micromanager in your efforts to keep the conversation going. Remember, just because you use an instant messaging platform doesn't mean you should expect instantaneous responses. Give people some time to respond, and they'll be sure to grant you the same grace. Have you noticed how working remotely tends to condense team communication down to work-related topics? In an office, people naturally find time to talk to their coworkers. However, in a remote work environment, employees can go days without speaking with their team members. As a remote manager, it is your job to create an environment where casual conversations among team members are encouraged. So how can you make your team members more communicative? Well, you can set the stage by asking icebreaker questions at the beginning of team meetings, trying virtual team building activities, and discussing casual topics on your employee communication app. Employees are usually reluctant to send non-work related messages to team channels, especially when they're new to the company. Instead, most of them head straight to their work besties' DMs when they want to have a casual chat. That means that managers need to take the lead by bringing relaxed conversations into those official team channels. Like this. See? Simple. But while we're on the subject of messaging apps, here comes your final quest. Even though most remote employees rely on internal messaging software, not many get to experience the full potential of the app they're using. As a remote manager, you'll be able to affect the way your team communicates on such platforms. To do this, you'll want to start by familiarizing yourself with the app your company is using. For example, most regular employees use the team communication app Pumble for simple exchanges on channels and through DMs. At most, they might use it to send files back and forth or hop on the occasional video call. However, as a manager, you might find other features you can benefit from, such as the app's messaging schedule and reminder features. For example, I just remembered I had a question for Frank. But I see that he's taken a day off until tomorrow. If I wait to ask him about it tomorrow, I might forget. Luckily, the message scheduling feature on Pumble lets me ask my question and schedule the delivery for when I know Frank will be available. This feature is particularly useful for managers who want to make a point of respecting their employees' personal time. Once you've got that managerial throne, you'll inevitably find yourself looking for allies in the form of reliable employees you could elevate to lighten the load. And so the story begins anew. As one manager is lifted into a high position within the company, another must rise to take their place. Luckily, with the right tools, you can make the process painless for everyone involved. If you're looking to train your organizational airs through Pumble, you can do so by hosting leadership workshops through the built-in video conferencing feature, screen sharing any pertinent documents or presentations while you're on the group call, and pinning important documents in the dedicated leadership training channel so the new generation of managers will be able to easily find them. The team communication app Pumble is here to support your leadership journey and help you prepare others for the same adventure. So, are you ready to step up? Thank you for joining me on this quick discussion on how to communicate like a leader. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.